Okay, so let's talk about futurism. Futurism is a new era of art history characterized by forms moving in space. They picture the body moving, or they like to picture the movement instead of the figure. They embrace speed and the ideas of the new mechanization of the Industrial Revolution, and they reject artistic and cultural traditions. They were mostly Italian, and they were communists, and they believed that technology was a good thing. So Baccioni is Italian, obviously. He tries to visualize in his head what the figure would look like if he were to just sculpt the air around the figure. And so he comes up with these sculptures that look like a figure moving in space, and it looks as if she's got on these weird angular clothes that cling to her body as she moves in space. Futurists in general explored lots of different types of medium. This is The Revolt by Russolo, and he tries to capture objects in space through painting. The futurist movement was about movement. It was about motion. They catch on to this idea that this is part of new technology. This is exciting part of the modern age. The works of art look like a blur of movement. They're a takeoff from the ideas of Cubism. They envied the open spaces of the United States. Europe, if you've ever been to Europe, is very closed in. They don't have as many large, wide open spaces that the United States does. They had the ideas of violent explosion and how to get rid of the old stodgy European ways. Stop action photography was also a heavy influence. Okay, looks like I've told you most of what I know about futurism. One of the more famous of the futurists was Brancusi. He was eager to show works that emphasized natural or organic forms. He wanted to capture the sense of an object or its spirit rather than the motion. For example, for Bird in Space, he uses a bird's wing at rest, and that is his beginning point for his sculpture. And then because he started at the beginning point of the sculpture being the bird's wing at rest, he develops it further and further to the point where the end result reflects, like in this case, Bird in Space, it feels bird-like. It feels like a wing of motion. You can see this, I think, more easily in his work, The Newborn. He was highly influenced by African art that was on display in the 1900s in Paris, the same African art that Picasso was influenced by. And he felt that the simpler form captured the nature of their subject more effectively. This rejected realism, and he begins making shapes that are the essence of their subject. The egg symbolizes birth and the potential for growth and development. The flat ellipse has a bauble in it, which represents the head of the infant at the moment of birth. To Brancusi, this was the essence of the perfect potential. Another one of the artists who sort of agreed with Brancusi was the English artist Hepworth. Hepworth combines shape and the sense of organic vitality, but emphasizes the element of mass. She wants to express both nature and landscape, and in 1921 she decides that she's going to use the use of the hole or the void. It takes on an elemental part of her sculpture, and it's an important switch because she is thinking about work in terms of mass, and she feels she needs to convey what a void looks like. And so for her, it looks like this hole in the object or the sculpture. She's intentionally embracing the idea of the void. Most modern sculptors until now, though, wanted to not have any kind of hole in their work. And so this becomes her signature element, and she feels that she can convey better man and the landscape and man and nature in her work with the void. Henry Moore is British, just like Hepworth, and he shares her interest in the void or the idea of the hole in the sculpture. His sculptures, though, have some interesting sort of bridges in terms of the form. Futurism was very much about the form. Henry Moore believes in expressing the form. But he pays special attentions to the qualities of the material that he's using. For example, in this case, wood. I did this nice close-up for you so you could see the wood grain, and you can see how the figure reclines and naturally lays based on the wood grain. Henry Moore said, "Material has its own individual qualities. It is only when the sculptor works direct, when there is an active relationship with his material, when material can take its part in shaping of the idea." He uses the grain of wood in this case to dictate how the figure moves in space. He or she reclines and sort of gracefully moves along with the grain of the wood. Maure was also inspired by Chamuel. Chamuel is a reclining figure in the Toltec and Mayan art of South America. Maure was known for working with the special qualities of textures of material. I've seen him do bronze, I've seen him do wood, stone, and so he really wanted to work with the material, but he also had a spiritual side to the works in which he feels like he's connecting to the Toltec and Mayan art. Here's another one of Moore's reclining figures. I just kind of wanted you to see how he utilizes that wood grain to dictate the form.